You're standing in the laundry aisle holding a $25 bottle of blue liquid, and 9/10 of what's in that bottle is tap water. I know that because I poured one out once just to see, and what came out was mostly clear until the last few inches, which is where the actual soap was hiding. $25 for a jug of colored water with a scent they call Mountain Breeze, and somewhere in there, maybe 3 cents worth of ingredient that actually cleans anything. I want to show you something today that costs about $6 and lasts a family of 4 an entire year of laundry, 300 loads, give or take. It's gentle enough for a baby's onesie and strong enough to pull a grass stain out of a 10-year-old's jeans, and it won't eat through the rubber seals on your machine or leave a chemical smell on your pillowcase. I've used it on cotton, denim, wool sweaters, even Earl's old work shirts that used to come home from the motel smelling like bleach and diesel, and it's never once faded a color or stiffened a towel. Total cost for the ingredients, about $13, and that $13 makes enough for 2 full years if you're careful with it. My name is Linda. I've been keeping house for over 40 years now, raised 3 kids on one paycheck from a 60-room motel my husband ran off Highway 19 in Florida. And in all that time, I never once bought a bottle of store detergent that I didn't regret, not because it didn't clean, some of it cleaned just fine, but because I did the math one year, back when the kids were still in grade school and money was tight enough that I kept a little notebook of what everything cost. And I realized I was spending more on soap than I was on shoes for 3 growing children. That's the year I started making my own, and I haven't bought a bottle since. Here's what I want to walk you through today, step by step, in order with exact prices, so you can go do this yourself this weekend if you want to. And I'll tell you something that might make you a little annoyed once you understand it, which is that this isn't new information. This is how our mothers and grandmothers did laundry before the big companies figured out they could sell you water in a bottle and convince you the smell was the whole point. Nobody's plotting against you. Understand, it's just that a company makes more money selling you a jug you have to buy every month than they'd ever make telling you the truth, which is that 3 plain minerals from the hardware store will do the same job for a fraction of the cost. So stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to look at that detergent aisle completely differently. Here's what most folks get wrong when they think about making their own detergent, and it's the same mistake I made the first time I tried it 30-some years ago. They think soap is the whole story. You grate up a bar of soap, dissolve it in water, and figure that's detergent. It isn't, not by itself, and if that's all you do, you'll end up with cloudy, stiff laundry, especially if you've got hard water, which most of the country does. Soap alone reacts with the minerals in hard water and forms a film, the same film you see as soap scum in your bathtub, and that film sits right there in the fibers of your clothes. You need 2 other things working alongside the soap, one to soften the water so the minerals don't fight you, and one to lift the alkaline load, the grease and body oil, out of the fabric. Get all 3 working together and you've got something that actually outperforms a lot of what's on the shelf. Leave one out and you'll swear off homemade detergent forever, which is exactly what happened to my neighbor Carol back in 1991. She tried it once with just soap and water, ended up with gray towels, and told everybody homemade detergent doesn't work. It works. She just left out 2/3 of the recipe. So let's go through it properly. The first thing you need is washing soda. And I want to be clear, this is not baking soda. It's a different product entirely, sodium carbonate instead of sodium bicarbonate. And the label usually says super washing soda. Arm & Hammer makes the one I use. It comes in a yellow box. You'll find it on the bottom shelf near the laundry aisle, not with the baking supplies, and it runs about $5 for a 3-pound box at most grocery stores or Walmart. This is your workhorse ingredient. When it hits water, it raises the pH, gets the water good and alkaline, somewhere around an 11 on the scale. And that alkaline environment is what physically breaks the bond between oil and fabric fiber. This is the ingredient that does the heavy lifting on grease, on collar grime, on the ring around a work shirt. The second ingredient is borax. 20 Mule Team Borax is the brand I've always bought, and you'll find it right next to the washing soda most of the time. Also around $5 for a 4-pound box. Borax is a mineral. It's mined right out of dry lake beds out west, been used in laundry rooms for over 100 years, and its job is to soften your water. If you've got hard water, and I'd guess most of you watching this do, the calcium and magnesium in that water grab onto dirt particles and practically cement them into your clothes. Borax breaks that grip. Skip it, and you're washing your clothes in what's basically diluted concrete. They'll come out looking clean but feeling stiff and dingy over time. The third ingredient is a bar of Castile soap, plain, unscented if you can find it, or scented if you like a bit of lavender or peppermint in your wash. That's up to you. Dr. Bronner's is the one I buy most often, runs about $5 a bar, though I've also used Kirk's Castile, which is closer to $2 and works just as well for this purpose. This bar is your actual surfactant, the molecule that grabs onto grease and oil and lets the water carry it away. 1 bar goes a long way once you melt it down. Now here's how you put it together, and I want you to follow this in order because the order matters. Take your bar of Castile soap and grate it. I use the same cheese grater I've had since our second son was born, and grate it into fine flakes right into a small pot. You want about a cup of flakes when you're done. Add 4 cups of hot water to that pot, set it on low heat on your stove, and stir it slowly, not a rolling boil, just a gentle simmer for about 10 minutes until every flake has dissolved into a smooth liquid. I remember the first time I did this. I was standing at my stove with my youngest on my hip because he wouldn't nap, stirring this pot with one hand, and I thought, if my mother could see me now, doing chemistry in a soup pot to save a few dollars, she'd probably laugh, and then she'd probably ask for the recipe, because this is exactly the kind of thing she did too. She just never called it a recipe. She called it Tuesday. While that soap is melting, take a 5-gallon bucket, the kind you can buy at the hardware store for about $3, and fill it about halfway with the hottest water your tap will give you. Pour your melted soap mixture into that bucket, then add 1 full cup of the washing soda and 1 full cup of the borax. Stir it slowly with a long-handled spoon, wooden if you've got one, for a couple of minutes, and you'll actually feel the texture start to change under the spoon as those 3 ingredients start working together. Once that's mixed, top the bucket off with cold water until it's nearly full, snap the lid on tight, and here's the part that surprises people every time. You let it sit overnight. Don't touch it, don't stir it again. Just let it rest for about 12 hours. When you come back to it in the morning, that whole bucket will have turned into a thick, slightly cloudy gel, almost like a loose pudding. That transformation is the chemistry finishing its work, and that gel is your detergent, enough for around 300 loads. To use it, just scoop about half a cup straight into the drum with your clothes, or into the detergent tray if you've got a front-loading machine. It dissolves fine in cold water or hot, doesn't matter which you wash on. If an old housewife's tricks like this one are worth your time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and give this a thumbs up. It tells me you want more of these, and believe me, I've got 40 years of them. Now let me tell you a bit about why this actually works, because I think it helps to understand the reasoning and not just follow steps blind. Grease and body oil are what most of your everyday laundry grime actually is, along with a bit of dust and skin cells, and oil doesn't mix with water on its own. That's just basic chemistry, oil and water separate. A surfactant molecule, which is what the Castile soap gives you, has one end that loves water and one end that loves oil. So it grabs the grease on one side and the water on the other and pulls it all away together when you rinse. The washing soda raises the alkalinity of the water, and grease breaks down more easily in an alkaline environment. That's the same reason a lot of degreasing cleaners are alkaline rather than acidic. And the borax softens the water by binding up those calcium and magnesium minerals so they can't interfere. Three separate jobs, three separate ingredients, and none of it is a secret formula. It's just basic laundry chemistry that's been documented and used since long before plastic detergent bottles existed. Washing soda and borax have both been standard laundry aids since at least the early 1900s, long before anyone thought to add blue dye and a fragrance called Ocean Breeze and charge you $25 for the privilege. One thing people ask me is whether this is safe for a high efficiency washing machine, because those machines are pickier about suds than the old top loaders I grew up using. And the answer is yes. It's actually better suited to an HE machine than most store-bought detergent because this recipe produces very little foam. Suds themselves don't do the cleaning. That surprises people, but it's true. The foam is just air, and too much of it can interfere with the sensors in a modern machine and leave residue built up over time. A low sudsing wash like this one is easier on the machine, not harder. Now let's talk money, because this is the part that used to make my blood boil a little when I first worked it out. A typical name brand detergent runs you somewhere around $20 to $25 for 64 loads. So you're looking at maybe 35 to 40 cents a load. Once you do the math, sometimes more if you buy the fancier scented versions. This recipe, once you've bought your washing soda, your borax, and your bar of soap for around $13 total, makes roughly 300 loads, which works out to something like 4 or 5 cents a load. And here's the thing, nobody at the detergent company wants you thinking about too hard. That $13 in raw ingredients doesn't run out after one batch. You'll have plenty of washing soda and borax left over to make a second batch, sometimes even a third before you need to restock. So that first $13 might carry you through 600 loads or more before you're back at the hardware store. Nobody's hiding this from you exactly. It's printed right there on the box of washing soda. It's just that nobody's going out of their way to tell you either, because there's no profit in it for them if you stop buying the bottle. I put this whole system, this recipe, and dozens of others from my years running a household on a shoestring into a little book I called Linda's Homekeeping Handbook. There's a link down in the description if you want the whole collection in one place. So here's what I want you to do this weekend if you're willing to give this a try. Saturday morning, take a trip to the store and pick up a box of super washing soda, a box of 20 Mule Team borax, and a bar of Castile soap, plain or scented, whichever you prefer. That's your whole shopping list, and it should run you right around $13 total. When you get home, grate that bar of soap on a cheese grater into about a cup of flakes. Melt it slowly in 4 cups of hot water on your stovetop for 10 minutes, stirring gently. Pour that into a 5-gallon bucket, half filled with hot tap water. Stir in 1 cup of the washing soda and 1 cup of the borax. Top the bucket off with cold water, snap the lid on, and let it sit overnight. By Sunday morning, you'll have a full bucket of gel detergent ready to use, half a cup per load, and you won't need to think about buying detergent again for the better part of a year. I'd love to hear how it turns out for you. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what your laundry situation looks like, big family, hard water, whatever it is, because I read every single one of these, and I like knowing who's out there trying this stuff alongside me. And if you want that whole system written out, all the ratios and a few variations I've worked out over the years for different water types, that's in Linda's Homekeeping Handbook too. Links right there in the description. Next time, I want to show you something about your dryer that's probably costing you money every single time you run it. A habit almost everybody has that adds minutes and dollars to every single load, and it takes about 30 seconds to fix once you know what you're looking for. The women who kept this country's homes running knew things we're only just starting to remember. I'll see you in the next one.